Okay, so today we are going to go over dividing integers. We're going to divide integers and then we're going to find the mean or the average of a set of data. So let's start. Repelling as one-way climbers descends rocks and mountains. A climber was at an elevation of 800 feet above sea level. 5 minutes later, the climber was at an elevation of 755 feet above sea level. So it asks, what was the climber's change in altitude? So all we'd have to do is go 755 minus 800, and that's going to tell us it was negative 45 feet. And then the question says, suppose the climber descends the same number of feet each minute. Write an expression to determine the number of feet the climber descended each minute. Well, we know we went 5 minutes, so we could say negative 45 divided by 5, and that's going to get me negative 9. So he did 9 feet every minute. Okay? Now we can express negative 45 divided by 5 as an example of dividing integers. Division of integers is related to multiplication of integers, so one way to find the quotient is by using related multiplication sentence. So for example, if we have negative 45 divided by 5 is 9, we can look at that problem and say, what times 5 would be negative 45? Well, that's negative 9. So we could look at a division problem and kind of think about it in terms of a multiplication problem. So it could kind of work that way sometimes. And one thing that you will notice in that division problem, that the negative 45 is a negative and the 5 is a positive. Well, when you have different signs, a negative and a positive, your answer is going to be negative. Your quotient will be negative. So, for example, if I have negative 10 divided by 5, my answer is a negative 2. And it doesn't matter where the negative sign is. So, for example, if I change it and put it on the 5 and I have 10 divided by negative 5, the answer is still negative 2. Okay? So, if you have different signs and you divide, just like in multiplication, you're going to have a negative answer. So let's look at a couple of examples. We have 36 divided by 4. One's positive, one's negative. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. Since one of them is negative, one is positive, it'll be a negative 9. And then don't forget that when you have a fraction, that fraction sign is really a division sign, okay? So it would be negative, so we have one negative sign, negative 42 divided by 6. So my answer is going to be negative, and 42 divided by 6 is 7, so negative 7 would be my answer. All right, take a second, answer both of these, and then let's see how you did. Okay, here we go. So we have negative 144 divided by 12, one negative, one positive, so I know my answer is going to be negative, and 144 divided by 12 is 12, so my answer is negative 12. And then I have 100 divided by negative 5. One's positive, one's negative, so the answer is going to be negative. And 100 divided by 5 is 20, so my answer is negative 20. All right, I'm sure you guys did great on those. All right, so you can use, again, multiplication and division sentences to find the quotient of integers with the same sign. So for example, if I have 36 divided by negative 3, I get negative 12. And if I looked at it as, okay, what times negative 3 gives me 36, it would be negative 12. So that leads us to believe that if you are multiplying or dividing by the same sign, you're going to get a positive answer. So for example, if I have negative 10 divided by negative 5, I get a positive 2. Just like I do when I have a positive 10 divided by a positive 5, I get a positive 2 as my answer. So just like with multiplication, if you divide by the same sign, you're going to have a positive quotient or a positive answer. So let's look at examples of that. We have 14 divided by 2. They're both positive, so the answer is positive. And 14 divided by 2 is 7, so the quotient is a positive 7. Again, this looks like a fraction, but remember, with a fraction, that's a division sign, okay? So negative 25 divided by negative 5, they're both negative, so the answer is positive, and 25 divided by 5 is going to give me 5. All right, here's a couple examples. Take a second, see if you knew these, and then come back and see how you did. All right, negative 200 divided by 20, they're both negative, so the answer is positive, and 200 divided by 20 is 10. Negative 125 or 125 divided by negative 25, again, they're both negative, so the answer is positive, and 125 divided by 25 is a positive 5. Okay? All right. Again, I'm sure you did well on those. And now we can look at it, we can evaluate algebraic expressions as well. So remember, when you're doing expressions like this and they tell you what x and y is, for example, you just plug that in where x and y is anywhere in the problem or in the expression. So I have 12y, that would be 12 times negative 3 divided by x, or divided by negative 6. Now I have to use order of operations, so 12 times a negative 3 would be a negative 36, and then negative 36 divided by 6 would give me a positive 6. And then I have negative 5x. Remember, when you have the coefficient and the variable, the operation in between those is multiplication. So negative 5 times negative 6 divided by negative 3. So negative 5 times negative 6 is a positive 30, and positive 30 divided by negative 3 would give me a negative 10. Okay? All right. Now you, again, pause the video, try these two, and then come back and see how you did. All right, so we have 4b divided by a, so 4 times b, which is negative 5, divided by a, which is negative 2. That would be negative 20 divided by negative 2, which would give me a positive 10. Okay? Let's see. Then I have 4 times negative 7 divided by 2 times 14, and I have grouping. So remember, order of operations, it's grouping first. So 4 times negative 7 divided by 2 times 14, which would be 28. Now I do left to right order of operations. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28, divided by 28 is negative 1. All right, good job. Now we're going to look at finding the mean or the average. So division is used in statistics to find the average or mean of a set of data. To find the mean of a set of numbers, find the sum of the numbers and then divide by the number of items in the set. So for example, oceanography. The diving depths in feet of 7 scuba divers studying schools of fish were negative 12, negative 9, negative 15, negative 8, negative 20, negative 17, and negative 10. Find the mean of the diving depth. So we take and we have to add together all of the data. Okay? So when we add that together, we get negative 91. And then we add how many pieces of data we have, and we have 7. So then we divide it by 7. And negative 91 divided by 7, there's one negative, one positive, so the answer is negative. And 91 divided by 7 is 13. So the mean diving, or the average diving depth, is negative 13 feet, or 13 feet below sea level. Okay? Now pause, try this one, and when you come back, we'll see how you did. All right. So we have a rock climber make several changes in position while attempting to scale a cliff face. So she ascends 15 feet. So that's a positive 15. She descends 7 feet. So that's a negative 7. She ascends 22 feet. That's positive. She descends 13 feet, and then she ascends 28 feet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's all divided by 5. And when we add these together, we get 45 positive divided by 5, which would give me 9 feet as the average or the mean. Okay? All right. Then I just added this in here. It's on the note sheet as well. It gives the different rules for operations with integers for all 4 rules. For adding integers, remember, same signs. We add the absolute values and keep the signs. So for example, if I have 3 plus 2, that's just simply 5. Or negative 3 plus negative 2, it's still 5. But remember, they're both negative, so the answer has to be negative. And when we do different signs, we just subtract the absolute values and keep the sign of the larger absolute value. So negative 3 plus 2, 3 is larger than 2 absolute value, so that leaves me an answer of negative 1. And on the other side, I have 3 plus a negative 2, 3 is still the bigger absolute value, so the answer would be positive. Then subtracting integers, remember we could just add its additive inverse. So for example, if I have 3 minus 5, I could say 3 plus a negative 5, then I just use the rules for adding integers, okay? And don't forget, if I have 3 minus a negative, we could always do the keep, change, which this now becomes 3 plus 5. Okay? And then lastly, multiplying and dividing 2 integers. When it's the same sign, they're both positive or they're both negative, your quotient or product is going to be positive. And when you have different signs, the product and quotient is going to be negative. So 1 negative, 1 positive will give you a negative answer. All right. That's it. If you got any questions, just send me an email and let me know.